It is just a huge honor for me today to be podcast interviewing Dr. Amy Kakeli Agbabli DDS, who was born and raised in Lomé, Togo, a French-speaking country in West Africa. She moved to the States as a high school student and received her undergraduate degree from the University of Alabama at Birmingham. She later received her DDS degree from Missionary College in Nashville, Tennessee. She loves to serve and has been involved in doing missionary work since her childhood. Having a heart for people is all she grew up to know. She has served as a board member and a co-founder for two different nonprofit organizations, Clean H2O for Togo. They built wells and provide clean water in remote villages, and Togo Mission. Togo Mission focuses on orphan sponsorship and cares for the orphans until they turn 18. Dr. Amy sponsors some elementary students' education by providing school supplies, tuitions, and holiday presents for them in few villages in Togo every year. She is currently the co-founder of her orphanage that still is under construction but almost completed. It will be named Orphanage La Foy.
La Foi.
La Foi. Dr. Amy is currently residing in Rogers, Arkansas with her small family. She loves fashion and working out. She likes yogas, Pilates. I actually like yogurt and pirates, but we're almost the same. She likes yoga and Pilates, and strength training are among her favorites. Thank you so much for coming on the show today. Are you all ready for Christmas?
Yes, I am.
That means you did all the shopping?
I did most of them.
Well, my gosh, you live in you've come from two great places. I mean, you grew up in Toga, and then in my gosh, I grew up in Wichita, Kansas, and that Arkansas River that you guys mispronounce as Arkansas River. I don't know how you say it like that down there. It's Arkansas River. It comes through Kansas first, but you're down there in what is the city you're in? It's right by You're in Springdale, Arkansas, and Walmart is headquartered in Rogers, Arkansas, right?
Yes, Walmart is in Bentonville, Arkansas.
It's in where? Bentonville?
Yes.
Oh, I thought they moved the headquarters to Rogers, but it's still headquartered in Bentonville? Yeah,
Yes,
and when
it
I
is.
was little, my dad, we would drive, when we wanted to go trout fishing, instead of doing it upriver in Arkansas River, we would drive down in that area because we swang by the first Walmart store, and, you know, we got pictures of it. And then my sister lives in Fort Smith, and it was so fun. Last time I lectured in Fayetteville, I spent the night with her in Fort Smith, and I just love that area. There's 2 states out of 50 that I don't think anybody's aware of, and that is North Carolina and Arkansas are the 2 most beautiful states with mild 4 seasons, complete beauty. I mean, everybody knows about Miami, San Diego, all the other spots, but my God, Arkansas and North Carolina, I think, are the 2 prettiest states, and you never see them in movies and in the news and all that kind of stuff. My gosh, amazing. So I wanted to ask you, where does your, it seems like you're very passionate about missionary work, and I wanted to know, on your journey, where does this come from?
Well, so I started with my parents. They do have like a heart for mission. My dad is always involved in doing mission work. So I started helping him when I was a little girl. So that's when my passion came from mission and for people.
So you're gonna give all that credit to your dad
Well, and my mom.
and
both
your
of
mom?
them.
So this is Dentistry Uncensored, so I want to go right to the hard-hitting questions. I mean, I don't want to talk about anything everybody knows, but my gosh, I have so much respect for the dentists that weren't born in the United States, and they seem to be very different than all the dentists who were born in the United States. It's kind of like you have the dentists who were born in the other 207 countries. You have the dentists that were born here, and they're just different. I mean, they seem to think differently, because if you're born in America, you drink the purple Kool-Aid at birth, and that's all you know. And whenever I hear an American say, this is the greatest country in the world, the first thing I know is they've never traveled anywhere in their entire life except the spot they were born. So you're born in Toga, Africa, so you're an immigrant, and you're in Northwest Arkansas, which is pretty European white community, and you got a smile on your face from ear to ear and the best attitude. Talk about that. Is it challenging being an immigrant from Africa in Northwest Arkansas, or no big deal?
Well, not really, but it's always, people always ask questions. What are you doing here? Where are you from? But it's pretty much not really a big deal because my patients are really, really, really interested to know where I'm from and the history of me being here. So, so it's not really a big deal, but it's kind of a big deal, if you know what I mean.
We'll talk about it. It's not really a big deal. It's a big deal. The thing I loved about it is when I was in dental school from 84 to 87, you probably weren't even, were you even born in 87?
Yeah.
Oh, you were? Oh, okay. I didn't even remember. But you know what? We used to go into these, we used to have a Lowry clinic. So this Dr. Lowry died, and he donated his money to get a yellow school bus and go pick up kids and the second graders and bring them into school, and that was great. And I noticed when they would bring in the kids to the school, at least the patient. Okay, so it was all African American community, probably 3 miles, 4 miles each way from dental school, and those little kids would come in and they'd be meeting me. But my gosh, when they saw a black dentist like 4 cubicles down, I mean, they literally like climbed up the chair. I mean, you could tell he's like, oh my God, one of them looks just like me. Do you? And I thought it was so important. I thought it was the most important thing for dentistry is that all these African black kids knew, well, there's dentists that look just like you. Have you ever experienced that?
Yes, that happened all the time. So kids, I always get so excited when I see kids come in and they get so happy to see a black dentist because I'm the only black dentist here around here. So it's amazing how happy they are when they see me and they get really excited. I had this boy that came maybe a couple of months ago, and he was like, "Oh, Mama, she's black, she's brown like me." So he got so happy. So and that really made a difference because I'm so glad I'm here. I'm so glad that they have to see someone that look like them serving them. So it's really cool. I love it.
Well, I mean, that is amazingly cool. That little kid will think differently about dentistry the rest of his life.
Most definitely, yes.
So how does that feel for you from going to a country where everyone looks like you to going to Northwest Arkansas where it's rare? What is that like?
Well, it's different, but I guess I'm used to it by now because I live in Alabama when I first moved here, and Alabama is not any different, but not as, they have more black people there than Northwest Arkansas for sure. But I feel like I just get used to it, being the only one that look different.
But does it make you feel like a role model for the next generation?
Most definitely, yes. Yes. So I have to pretty much, raise the standard to do the right thing and be there. And I had to represent the whole Black community, not just the African community. I have to be pretty much an example for the next generation to come to know that, it's possible to look different and be, be dentist in Northwest Arkansas.
And my God, I wish Americans would think like that when they're on vacation, because every place I've ever lectured at, every time they ever met an American, they went to their country, they've got a story, and it's always an embarrassing one. And I always told my 4 boys, I've taken my 4 boys with me to 50 different countries, and I said, when you get out of that airplane, you are an ambassador for the United States of America. And if we all get drunk and fall down, they're going to think America is a bunch of drunks that fall down. I mean, we are going to be above and beyond. It's an image. On Dental Town, when we talk about charity, we call it humanitarian dentistry. And then we subdivide it up into charitable dentistry and missionary dentistry. Everything I've been reading on you sounds like you're more missionary dentistry. That this comes from a place of religion as opposed to economics, charity, welfare, Medicaid. You know, it seems like you're more of a mission dentist. Am I correct on this? That it has more to do with your religious beliefs than so much as just say economic inequality.
Well, it's kind of both though, because first of all, being a Christian, I have a faith, because I moved to the state really young. I was in high school when I moved here. So I pretty much had to be on, well, I live with my brother, but, I was on my own pretty much here. And then I had to make my way through the American system, go to school, finish high school, go to college, go to dental school. So my story is based on faith because I have to really keep my belief into check to make it through the hardship when I moved to the state. So it's always good for me to go back and share my faith with people. But at the same time, I'm not going to say the lack of dentistry in Africa, but dental is more of a privilege in third world countries. You know what I mean? That access to dentistry is more like a privilege. They only go to dentists when their teeth is hurting. But that's all we have, you know what I mean? So my goal is to eventually go back and have a dental clinic that will be affordable to give more access to people. At the lower cost. I don't know if it makes sense. So yeah, my faith is there. At the same time, the economic is there because they don't have the access to dental. Does that make sense?
Yeah,
to you, what I'm saying?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm still. How old were you when you moved from Togo to?
I was a senior in high school. So 18 years old. And I came to finish my senior year here just because my mom was really ill. And then my dad knew that she does not have enough time to live. And I was so close to mom. So dad was like, no, she's not going to stay here and, see her mom die. So he pretty much sent me away to come and stay here and go to school with my brother.
And then did your mom pass away?
2 months later, yes.
And is your dad still alive?
No, I lost my dad a year after graduating from dental school. So I lost my dad in 2013.
Oh my God, that's just, I mean, that makes me want to cry. When you said you moved here, you were very young. I always think you move here when you're young if you don't remember where you came from, and then you learn English naturally playing on the playground. But what surprises me is you came from a French colony, and usually French people move to like Montreal, Quebec, or Haiti, or some place that speaks French. Why didn't you go to Canada with your native language French, or did you not, or was that not your native language? Did you mostly only speak Toga?
So yeah, French is the main language in Togo, and then to be honest, I really, really, really wanted to go to Montreal in Canada, but my dad was like, "You are my only daughter. You cannot go to Canada. You have to go to the U.S. and stay with your brother."
Wow, so I was right then. Did you hear that, Kyle? Did you hear me get that right? I got it right. My God,
you got that right.
So basically, he thought America was the NFL and Canada was hockey.
I have no idea. He just didn't want me to.
I can't think of a better analogy to slam those Canadians. First of all, I don't trust Canadians. I mean, how can you be a dentist in Canada and love hockey? Really, do you smoke at the yoga workout? My gosh, so you're fluent in 3 languages then?
Well, actually more than that, because my dad is from the southern part of Togo. They speak a different dialect. My mom was from a northern part of Togo. They speak a different dialect there. And then English, of course, and French. So it's more like 4 or 5 languages.
Okay, so I can tell you from living here 58 years that everybody will tell you that if you're going to move because of your job, do it when your kids, especially your daughters, are in grammar school. But if you try doing that during high school, oh my God, you're going to be the most miserable parent that ever lived. And here, right in the prime of high school, you leave French-speaking Toga, English-speaking Alabama. You lose your mother 2 months later, your dad after dental school. I mean, my God, I almost feel like you're invincible. Nothing can kill you. I mean, that must have been incredibly challenging.
Yes, that's where my faith come into play because I have to really, 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 really rely on God to make it through. So that's, yeah, that's what happened.
Well, I'm so sorry all that happened. And how many years ago did you graduate from school?
I graduated from dental school in 2012.
So you graduated 8 years ago. Would you
Yes.
say that the pain is subsiding and you feel like you're born again, or do you still have a lot of trauma from leaving your country, losing your parents, going to a new world? I mean, I couldn't even imagine that.
Well, it does get better, but I'm not going to say that it's completely gone. It's the pain still there for sure,
But
but it's much easier.
do you agree with the saying, "What doesn't kill you makes you stronger"? Do you feel like you're stronger because of everything you've gone through?
Yes, most definitely. Yes.
Most definitely. Huh. So then I gotta ask, so then that's your is that kind of why you attracted to orphanages? And is that why you're building an orphanage, losing your
Y- y-
parents young and all that?
Yes, because I have three brothers. One my oldest brother and my two youngest brother. So my baby brother, my youngest, was barely not even 10 when we lost our mom. So I just cannot imagine seeing some orphans there without them having any help. So that's where my passion for orphanage, yeah, came into existence. So I care a lot for orphans.
Ah, that is so sweet. My gosh. So what is your what's your goal? You talk about giving back to your homeland, Togo, by starting an orphanage to become hope for the hopeless. And I mean that
Yes.
is just, my gosh. I couldn't think of anything more miserable than if you just lost all hope. And so tell us an update on your orphanage. Where did you pick the location and why there versus anywhere else? Do you have any families still there that you're in contact with?
Yes, I do. I still have families. I have my mom's side and I have my dad's side. I have my aunties and uncles. Um, but the orphanage is less than an hour from Lomé, which is the capital of Togo. And the location, I picked that location because back in 2012, I went back home to do some mission, dental mission, my first dental mission. And then I went to that village because I knew the preacher, the pastor of the village. So I went to that village and I just fell in love with the people. So I told myself I'm gonna come back and build an orphanage there. So that's what happened.
And why did you not just build it right on the Gulf of Guinea? I mean, my God, that is the most beautiful. I mean, Lagos, Nigeria is right there, two countries down, then Porto Novo next door in Benin, then Lomé in Togo, Accra in Ghana. Why is that? Do you agree that those are some of the most beautiful beaches on earth?
Oh, they are beautiful. They are you should come visit sometime.
Anytime anytime. No, I'm serious. We've been to half the countries in Africa, and I just oh my God, it's I just love it. I mean, and people don't realize that just Africa has more people than both Americas. So Africa is one continent with over a billion, and North and South America are two continents that don't even have a billion. Everybody talks about India's a billion two and China's a billion three, but what they don't talk about is Africa's already at a billion with a higher, faster growth rate, which by
Hmm.
I'm reading 2050, that's going to be. I mean, it's just an amazing country. Just amazing, amazing, amazing. But are you going to build yourself a nice little beach house in Lomé?
I don't know. We'll see.
You'll see
Maybe
that
one day.
that's not on the immediate plans.
It's not an immediate plan.
So everybody wants me to ask all the guests that come on. You're a doctor of dental surgery. Would you take the vaccine right now today, or would you not and wait?
No, I will. I just feel like, I do not have any restraint of taking the vaccine. Here in Arkansas, we are in phase 1A. So they have sent an email last week. As soon as they have some pharmacies that we can go to, we all need to go get vaccinated. And I will be the first in the line to go. So I have
You have no hesitations.
no.
And did you in Springdale, Arkansas, did you have to close down for 2 months during this pandemic?
Yes, I did.
And so, talk about that. Was that, I imagine, of all the challenges you've been through, that was probably the least, that probably didn't even make your top 10 list, but did you find it challenging? How were you surviving the pandemic?
It was pretty hard. I had to close the office for 2 months, and I'm always the busy type of person, and I have to stay home. I have nothing to do with my life. So it got really boring and, kind of stressful. But, I'm glad everything is much better, back into track now. So we'll see.
And do you think that now that the news is all filled with the vaccines from Moderna and from Pfizer BioNTech, do you see in Arkansas the people seeing the light at the end of the tunnel, and it's the biggest season of the year. I mean, I can't speak for any other countries, but I mean, Christmas, I mean, you start the fall, it's a Halloween, then it's Thanksgiving, then it's Christmas, and it's the New Year. I mean, this is when you see Americans at their happiest usually. It's not going to be in June, July, and August when it's 112 and there's 8 mosquitoes on your arm that need swatted right now. Do you see them their moods picking up and being a little happier and all that stuff?
Yes, I feel like people are more happy that it's Christmas season, but you can kind of feel that people are really being conservative because we don't know. So people are really happy because it's the end of the year, it's Christmas, but people are still concerned. And I have talked to a lot of my patients that do not want to take the vaccine. So, people just don't know what to expect, so they're still really concerned.
And you're I've followed you posting on Dental Town. I mean, you have so many neat posts. What makes you go to Dental Town, and what are you and what do you think of the dentists there? Have they been collegial? Have they been what has your journey been like on Dental Town?
Well, I love downtown. I tell all my colleagues to be on downtown because that's where you go, you learn. I follow a lot of great dentists, great cases. It's just amazing, because you don't know. Most dentists are going through the same thing that you are going through, but you always think you are alone until you get on downtown. You'll be like, oh, wow, yeah, she's going through the same thing that I'm going through. So I can kind of relate. So that's why I love being on downtown. So I can relate to other dentists and then kind of follow their journey and see what's going on.
One of your posts, you're business savvy. You said, something they're talking about starting up a practice. You're saying, Nashville, big cities, they're saturated, and you said rural was okay for you. And the DSOs, I'm trying to beat this into the head because I've seen this thing play out in Australia. Years ago, they were 10 years ahead of us, and the NHS was 40 years ahead of us. But the bottom line is, the DSOs aren't going to rural because they can't hire any doctors. Because in 1950, everybody was getting married around 18, and now it's 2020, and everybody pushed that back a decade. So when you come out of school and you're single and you're trying to find a mate for life, you're not going to go to a town of 1,000 people in the middle of nowhere, Nebraska. You're going to go to Nashville. You're going to go to the big cities. You're going to go where you have the highest chances of finding that special person. And, so what made you go to rural? Why did you not want to go to Nashville and parade around all fancy in front of millions of other people? How could you go rural?
So, well, I guess I might need to add more to my biography. I think I don't know if I told you, but I moved to Arkansas. I have been married for a few years now. So the reason why we moved to Arkansas is the fact that my husband worked for Walmart. He worked at the home office. So he got a job, and then we have to move to Arkansas. So that's the reason why we are here.
And do you like it there?
Oh, that's the reason I'm here. It's okay. It's nice. It's beautiful. It's just a nice place to have kids and raise a family. So, it's pretty cool. I like it.
But I'm sensing there was a little hesitation in your explanation. Your husband has a good job in Walmart. You're there in a practice. You didn't sell me that was your favorite city on earth. What is the trade-offs? Well, let me tell you this: if you would have came out of dental school married, single, and you never met your husband who works at Walmart, where would you think you would have ended up if you would have got out of dental school single?
That's a good question. I don't know. Maybe a bigger city for sure, because it's more to do. It's more fun for you to meet people and go out. But but Arkansas is not bad though. It's really nice. It's not really small. It's really diversified because of Walmart. So I still feel that is a great place to be, regardless.
So you're liking it there?
Yeah, I like it. I think so.
Yeah, and it does. And what do you? And I don't want to get you and your husband in trouble, but currently everybody's talking about Walmart. They're trying to have a dental location, and we had on the guy that is leading that effort. But when you're old like me, I saw Sears try to do this a couple times, Philadelphia. This isn't Walmart's first attempt at having their own dental locations. And I think when people get into dentistry, I don't think they have any idea how complicated it is. Look at dentistry compared to pharmacy. Well, you're French. First time I lectured in France, I didn't realize that a dentist, you have your national health insurance card. Let's say that I tell you need antibiotics, and I put that out there. And then you just leave, go to an ATM machine, stick your card in there, and a bottle comes down, a label comes around, the pills come down. And I was like all freaked out. And then I looked at the machine, and it was made in Scottsdale, Arizona. And it's like, okay, if you're, it's kind of like the girls or the people sacking groceries. I remember one time I was, 40 years ago, I was loading my groceries on the conveyor belt, and I accidentally scanned it. And I thought, damn, if someone can accidentally do your job, that's not a good sign. You can't accidentally do a root canal or change the oil in a car, but I accidentally did that person's job. And I think comparing dentistry to Walgreens and CVS is just laughable. We do all surgery. We touch all of our patients. We lean them back in a vulnerable position when they're on their back, their neck exposed, which is how everybody dies in the last 200,000 years, why a carnivore is strapped to your trachea. And I just don't think, or do you think Walmart will be able to successfully pull off a chain of their own dental offices inside their Walmart stores?
To be honest, I really don't know, because they just opened their first Walmart dental office. It's not too far from my practice. So I just don't know if that will really make a difference, because I feel like people will go to dentists. People will not go to a dentist if regardless if the Walmart is. If the office is at Walmart, it's not the access to the clinic that matters. So I just think that's the realness for people to want to go to the dentist at the first place. So Walmart having a dental clinic, I just don't know. I don't think that will make a big difference. I don't think they will be really successful at it, but I can be wrong. So I just think we just need to wait and see what happens, you know.
Yeah. So, what type of dentistry gets you excited? I mean, are you? It seems like when you come out of dental school, there's only two dentists. One goes right and goes blood and guts, like root canals, extractions, and eventually place implants. The other one says no, thank you, and goes bleaching, bonding, veneer, Invisalign, clear aligners. What are you? Are you blood and guts? I mean, you're wearing red. I assume you're blood and guts, or are you all the soft and pretty bleaching, bonding, veneer type girl?
You know what? It's kind of funny because I do both. I have both sides. I do a root canal and everything else. And then at the same time, I love to bond and do veneers and do Invisalign. So I guess I'm both type of dentist at this point. You know, I
So you're
I, I,
saying,
lo-
yeah, go ahead.
I love both side of, you know, I love to do all of everything, like both type of dentistry, if that makes sense. But yes.
And I look at your quotes now. You were talking about one of your quotes was on weave contract issues. What were your issues? It says, has anyone? Do you care if I read your post?
No, go ahead. I don't
Okay.
even remember what it is.
You said, has anyone encountered some difficulties dealing with Weave at the beginning? We signed the initial contract a few weeks back. They called the office to get the software installed, but no phone got mailed to us. We called so many times to get this issue resolved with no success. Nobody's returning our calls. How did that? What are your thoughts on that? And on Dental Town, were you the only one doing that?
uh, I'm the only one.
Well, the person after you says, I've worked in two offices in two different states who use Weave, and we have found that communication with them is difficult, to say the least. We never had install issues, but have had problems getting small issues resolved within the same software. While the system is a great idea, their execution is still working out the kinks, and they're growing so quickly, I feel they don't have the staff. But I'm seeing a lot of that. Did you ever do you still use Weave?
I do, and I love it. So at the beginning, it was really hard to communicate and get them to for things to kind of run smoothly. So I was really, really, really frustrated. But they reached out and they made things really right. Like everything went pretty good after my first email on downtown. I don't know what happened. I don't know if there's someone from Wave on downtown,
Oh
but
yeah. Oh yeah. Trust me on that one. They've been on
yes.
this show.
So yeah, so they reach out and they have been amazing since then. I had no issues. Communication has been great, and I love it. I have nothing bad to say about Wave.
Well, that's very yeah. We had Brandon Rodman on 615, but that's a problem with a lot of another friend of mine on Dental Town had that. I remember when Sean Keating started his lab, Keating Dental Laboratories. He said the worst thing that happened to his whole business plan is that he grew too fast. He had all these townies that loved him. Everybody was throwing these cases at him, and he said it was like three guys in his apartment, trying to do all this work. And I never will forget, because I'm from Kansas, which is where the river Arkansas goes through before it gets to the Arkansas River. And it was amazing how so many Kansas wanted Southwest Airlines to come really, really bad. So they called Herb Kelleher and they said, look, a Boeing 737 is $50 million. We'll buy you the $50 million plane and give it to you because we want you here so bad. And Herb Kelleher said, I will not accept a free airplane. It is so hard for us to grow and ramp up the training and the logistics and the cost of the airplane. He goes, my labor is the number one cost. After labor, my fuel's the next highest cost. The plane is my fourth highest cost. I don't care about the cost of the plane. I care about my team, my labor, the efficiency, the whole nine yards. But growing too fast can be a bad deal. But tell me why you like Weave. What do you use Weave for?
Well, I love Wave pretty much for the messaging. Like I have my watch, my Apple Watch set up to have all my Wave notifications to come through, so I can see them every time I have something going on at home. When I'm home, and then I usually go home and message my patient every day at the end of the day to check on them. Like you said, let's say after a big procedure like an extraction or wisdom teeth, I can go home and message them. We can kind of communicate. That way, it make life easier for the patient. It make life easier for me. So I just like it. That is so easy to use. And then the notification come on your laptop. It come on your watch. So it's pretty cool.
Um, Another thread you were talking on is Dennis. We're talking about what percent of crowns end up needing a root canal within a year, and everybody agreed that at least 5% of all the crowns, 1 out of every 20, if you prep this tooth for a crown, in 1 year, it's going to need a root canal. What did you learn? I mean, first of all, do you agree with that or disagree with that? Do you think it's more or less? What are your thoughts on that?
Well, I kind of disagree because my approach to it's kind of different because when I have a tooth, I need to prep for a crown, and then they have to, let's say that tooth have a big filling that I see that I have to do remove and clean the decay. And I kind of foresee that tooth eventually might need a root canal. I will kind of prep the patient and get it done. I'm not going to crown it and let the patient come back a year later for them to need a root canal. So, so for me, it's to prevent the problem, before it get worse. So most teeth needing a root canal after a year, I don't quite agree with it, but that's just me though.
Yeah, and I'm Gordon Christian. I wish I could get a study. I wish he'd get this deal. But anyway, he said that oh my God, what did he say? That a quarter of all crowns will need a root canal within 5 years. I mean, that's what he says. My gosh. I mean, it's a lot of trauma. I mean, imagine getting all your skin drilled off, and then someone hands you a
Mm-hmm.
coat. I mean, that's not, you know what I mean? I mean, it's an extremely traumatic procedure. And, but one thing I've always done
Mm-hmm.
is if I do a crown, and I agree. There was 170. There's 279 dentists voted in that poll, and 178 agreed that 5%, 1 in 20 need a crown. A quarter said it was 10%. Another 5% said it was 20%, and 1/3 said it was 3%. And so, but what I do, especially now when you can get a zirconia crown for $100, if I do a crown and a year later, it needs a root canal, I always cut off the crown for me because I don't want to do a root canal through a little hole the size of a BB.
Mm-hmm.
And when I cut that crown off, and by the way, I always prep the tooth for the final restoration because sometimes you find out you can't do the final restoration or needs gum surgery or bone grafting or something. And so I always do the final restoration. But, you see these young kids doing a root canal and they got 4 files there and like one's 17, one's 19 millimeters, one's 21, it's like, why do you have 4 different heights? It's because you're measuring off margins and cusps and valleys and grooves. But when you prepare the whole tooth for the final restoration, and then you got 4 files in there and 3 of them are 18, and one of them 17, one of them short, you know what I mean? And so
Right.
there's a method to the madness in there. But do you like endo?
I do. I really love endo because I really wanted to specialize into endo when I first graduated. And then I ended up changing my mind because I kind of love to bond and do veneer still. But endo is a procedure that I really, really enjoy because I just love it. I know most dentists hate doing endo, but I actually enjoy doing endo.
Huh. Yeah, and I think you just can't tell anyone who has a PhD in public health or a doctorate in public health or an MD, DES in public health. The public health people say look, here's dentistry. 8.5% of the emergency room visits are odontogenic in order. Why? Because they have a toothache and they're in pain, and all the dentists are open Monday through Thursday, 8 to 5, and you can't find one Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. And then when they wait till Monday, they call, and either they can't get them in for 5 or 6 days, or they get them in and say, oh, well, I don't pull teeth or do root canals. Okay, then you're not a doctor. You're not a doctor. If you can't pull a tooth and do a root canal, and all you can do is bleaching, bonding, veneers, you need to go work in a hair salon because you're not a doctor. A real doctor, if you show up in the emergency room in any hospital in Arkansas and say, I broke my leg, they're never going to say, I'm sorry, Amy, we don't do legs. We just do broken fingers and ripped earlobes from, real doctors get you out of pain. And in dentistry, that means you got to extract a tooth or do a root canal. And and it's one of the specialties. Like a lot of dentists will say, are you a dentist or are you a specialist? And they go, oh, I'm just a general dentist. And I'm like, hey, slow down, Spanky. If you can get them out of pain by doing an extraction or a root canal, you are a dental public health specialist. That is one of the 12 specialties recognized by the ADA. Oral surgery is number 1, endo's number 2. There's your answer in demand. When you look at all these DSOs, the number 1 thing they look for in a specialty is an oral surgeon and an endodontist. That's dentistry. In fact, a lot of these dental offices, I'll show you an interesting stat right here. When these DSO chains open up a dental office, if at the end of the year, if it's not collecting $1.2 million and they're not basically just doing bread and butter dentistry of oral surgery, root canals, fillings, cleanings, and exams, just pulling teeth, doing root canals, fillings, cleanings, and exams, they switch to the greater fill theory and say, let's put up for sale and let's get rid of it. And, they want, if it's not, and here's your criteria. They must be doing 7 root canals a month, 7 extractions a month, and doing $1 million a year on just root canals, extractions, cleanings, fillings, exams, x-rays. Or at the end of the year, they put it up for sale and think maybe some other crazy person wants it. But they know that's the bread and butter of a dental office. And what concerns me is how many kids come out, $400,000 student loans. They've already decided, I hate endo. I hate endo. I did one and I hated it. I'm done. And then they're going to go try to pay off $400,000 of student loans with bleaching, bonding, and veneers. What would you tell that young kid who's already done and burned out and fried on endo?
On endo?
Yeah. How would she get her mojo back? To go back in there and say, no, you're a dentist, damn it. They showed up with a toothache and you got to help them.
Yeah, I just feel like we just need to, as a new graduate, as soon as you get off school, you have to, first of all, you have to have your confidence. You have to work on your confidence first. And then second, all the stuff that you are not really good at, try to invest into CE classes and try to go, try to get better at it. Don't just, throw out the towel and say that I'm not going to do endo, I'm not going to do extraction. At least try to get better, try to learn how to do those stuff.
I want to ask you a question that I can't ask myself. And it's a very challenging question. So whenever I get a female dentist on the podium, I'm going to try to ask them these things. What advice would you give? When you're thinking about becoming a dentist, but you also could have a baby. How do you weigh? I want to be a dentist. I want to be a mom. I mean, for a guy, it's not. We don't incubate the gamete. We don't have that 9-month incubation process. Thank God we're not elephants, or it'd be a 2-year process. But how did you weigh that in your mind? Because I noticed on the thread where it's discussing anyone else not planning on having kids, the moderators closed the damn thread. It was like getting so crazy. You can still read what they talked about, but. How did you wrestle that? Because you were on that thread that had to be closed. I mean, it was too emotional of an issue. And it blows my mind that really, I mean, we got 257,902 dentists, and we can't have a civil discussion on whether or not to make a child or not and be a dentist at the same time. People are so crazy, man. But how did
Right.
you wrestle that in your own mind?
Well, it is challenging for sure to be a mom and being a dentist or be a practice owner. But at the same time, for me, I wanted to open my own practice because I wanted the flexibility to have to spend time with my kids because I work as an associate before. It's always hard for me to get some time off for my two kids. So it is really challenging, but it's doable, to be a mom and a dentist or practice owner. But you just need to know how to balance both of them. I'm not gonna say that it's easy, but it is doable, for sure. Because when I started opening my practice, my daughter was 7 months old, I believe, or eight
When you
months old when
opened
I
your
started
practice, she was 7 months old?
Yes, she was about 7 or 8 months old when I was open the practice. I was told I'm really crazy because it's not doable. You can just do it. So, and I'm like, yeah, you watch me. so, so it was challenging. I took some time off and everything, but you have to do what you have to do. So I just want to let them know, don't be scared. It's doable. Um,
So
to be, to have both.
how many children do you have?
I have two. My son is 8 and my daughter is 5.
Wow, that is I think that is I mean, my gosh. And I'll tell you what, everyone else says, I have 4 babies, and now I have 6 grandbabies from 1 month old to 13. And the reason grandbabies are so much better is because you can return them to their mom. And they are so exhausting. I don't know if I'm just so old and fat and out of shape, but I mean, 3 hours with my grandchild, and usually they say, let's let grandpa, grandpa needs to go, when I'm just like laying on my back in the yard, and it's like, I don't even know if I can get back up. I mean, I don't know how you have a new dental office, a 24-hour day, 7-day a week baby. Now you didn't have any family. Did your do you live near your older brother and 2 younger brothers?
No. Mm-mm.
So did you get any help? Did you get any help with those raising them babies?
Yes. So with my daughter, when I opened the practice, I had to hire a nanny for her or for both kids. So I had a nanny for at least 2 or 3 years to help out with the kids when I'm working. So that was really helpful.
Yeah, and I like your post. One of the posts was about what was the name of that one? Need advice, newly pregnant, practice startup. I mean, my gosh, that would have to be frightening. And people are. But anyway, what would you? Well, I'll read what you said. You said, "Hey, congratulations! I would move forward with a startup. It takes quite some time before everything is ready to go, and blah 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 blah." But you said people called you crazy when you started your startup with a newborn baby. Now your daughter's 8 months old, but you said you didn't regret it, and you said this is the profound thing you said to me on that post, and that is a lot of young girls are listening right now in school. They're in. About a quarter of our listeners are still in dental kindergarten school. And everybody that emails me is howard@dentaltown.com, or if they post comments on the YouTube. By the way, all I want for Christmas is for you to subscribe on the YouTube channel. But they say, biology says the only thing that matters, I want to be the best mom. And then their goals in their mind saying, but I want to be a best dentist. And so then they start looking at you and say, well, if I want to be the best mom, should I get a job at McDentals where I just can work there Monday to Friday, 8 to 5, and then go home and be the perfect mom, or should I own my own practice? And you wrote, I'm in control of my schedule. And I think if you really want to be the best mom, then you got to own your own farm and be the owner operator, because then it's only you that decides what's more important, that big production root canal billet and crown for $2,500 this afternoon, or Billy's little baby recital at
Ballet.
kindergarten. What's it? What's more, because you can't go tell your office manager at $1 million office, well, he's gonna be the scarecrow in the Wizard of Oz, and he has one line. Well, forget the one line. You got $3,000 of production. Go knock. I mean, you get to decide. Is that the way you see it?
Yes, that's how I saw it, because I wanted to be in control of my schedule. I wanted to be in control of what's going on in my practice. So being a new mom and working for someone else, it's really hard. I have done it, and it's not easy. So having your own practice give you that flexibility to be able to control your schedule. You can come in early and leave early and have time for your kids. You know what I mean? You will make it work because you are in control.
When I opened up my practice, I put all my kids in the car and I drove them way out in the middle of the desert and kicked them out and drove back, and they kept finding their way back home. And it was very, very stressful for me. So speaking of stress, owning your own dental practice, what would you say the top 3 main stresses are? Is it patients, staff? Is it trying to get new patients? Is it overhead? What do you say are the top challenges for you in owning your own dental offices that you wouldn't have if you worked for somebody else?
Well, my number 1 on my list is management of people, management of the staff. So staff management is pretty much the hardest thing for me. Even though I'm a really small practice, I only have 4 people, 4 staff, but it's still hard to manage people, So that's my number 1. Is the number 1 on my list as far as stress. And then the second one will be, I don't think patient management is not my stress list, because I have really good patients. Only a handful of them give me stress. But, if COVID, right now, I would say it's just the fear of the unknown. We don't know if we're going to close again. We don't know what will happen. PPE is expensive. It's hard to find, it's just a lot going on with everything that's going on with the COVID. And then the overhead is higher because of COVID, because, and then the production is not there to support the overhead. So that's my main stress right now.
So to all the little kids in dental kindergarten school, this is what she just said. If you walked up to an NFL football coach and say, what stresses you out the most? And he said, oh, the stadium, should be opened or closed, or it's the artificial turf or the grass or the uniforms or the logo or the marketing or the new pay. I mean, you'd fire the coach on the spot. I mean, every coach in the NFL, if you said, what's your number 1 stress? He'd say, the only stress I have is my players, my team, my staff. I mean, that's everything. That's the draft. That's the whole 9 yards. People are complex. And if you think your number 1 problem is new patients or overhead or this or that, that's always because you're not aware of the number 1 problem you have. Like even talk about new patients. Okay, so if a hygienist can only service, if she works 40, if each cleaning's 1 hour and she works 8 hours a day, 5 days a week, she works 40 hours a week, and everybody has to get their teeth cleaned twice a year. Well, 40 hours a week, 50 weeks is 2,000 hours. So 1,000 people get hour cleaning twice a year. Hell, if you're getting 25 new patients a month, you'd be adding a new hygienist full time every 3 years. So you've been practicing in your location for 20 years. You still have the same hygienist you started with, and you think your biggest problem is overhead and new patients. No. It's about attracting and retaining quality key people that are going to take you to the playoffs every year. And every year they want to win the Super Bowl, and they play every day. They dive for the ball. They're just and I mean, my gosh. And they get rid of all the bad players. I mean, quarterbacks do it all the time. The coaches, why did you get rid of that wide receiver? My quarterback won't throw to him anymore. I mean, and that's that. I mean, once you've dropped 3 balls with that guy and they're game winners, he ain't doing it again. So if you're the coach and you think the problem is your TV royalties or switching your AstroTurf, you're out of your mind. It's only people, people, and some people have the gift of understanding people, and I don't. I learned very early in my dental office that I really loved pulling wisdom teeth the most, molar endo the second, and listening to staff whine and complain about something was not my forte. So what did I do? I found a head coach for that, and I got an office manager, and I don't do that because I don't like it, and if you don't like it, you're probably not going to get really good at it. But it's really, and plus it's very, very hard for me to manage staff because I'm the only normal person I've ever met, and everyone else is abnormal. And I think everyone agrees with that. Kyle? But anyway, so you always, I know we passed an hour, and I know you probably got Christmas shopping to do. I only got 2 more questions from you that I found very interesting. It says, you said the number 1 question you get from recent grads is, how did you know you were ready to go solo? Were you scared? And the second question that you usually get is, what do you wish you really knew about ownership in dental school that you didn't know when you opened your practice? So again, my gosh, how did you know you were ready to go solo, and were you scared? And what do you wish you knew about ownership in dental school that you didn't know when you started?
Yes. So to go solo, I just knew. So I always tell them that you will know when your time is up for you to go solo. You will know, because being an associate for a few years, you will know when you are ready to go on your own. Like we said, if you have to refer all your endo out, you have to refer all your surgery, your extraction out, then you are not ready to open a practice pretty much, because, when you first open your practice as a new graduate, you can't just be getting those high-end cosmetic veneers and bonding. You have to be able to do the basics. So, so when you know that you are ready is when you are comfortable doing pretty much everything as far as general dentistry. Then you can go solo. You know what I mean? You will know that you are ready to go solo. Now, the second question that I get is, how do you, the stuff that you wish you knew in dental school, I just really wish dental school would change about the business of dentistry, because, that's a lot that we should have learned in dental school as far as, as far as insurance, as far as claim, as far as practice management, as far as people management, as far as patient management. It's a lot. It takes a lot to have a practice. It's not just the clinical. So I really wish that dental school would change the other part of dentistry that is not clinical. So, because that was my biggest challenge when I came out and have to open my practice a few years later, I just felt like I was not really prepared to run the business side of dentistry. So I just hope and wish that school will start teaching the student the business side of dentistry.
And how did you learn the business of dentistry? What was the how did you do it?
Well, I listened to a lot of podcasts. I listened to your podcast. I read a lot of books. And then I have to learn from, try and errors from my own mistakes. And then most definitely, I learned a lot from being on downtown. I'm not just saying that because it's you, Howard, but it's the truth, So you just need to make sure that you keep on learning, you keep on reading, you keep on listening to all the podcasts out there to get better.
Yeah, and the only thing I'm proud about Dentaltown is we beat Facebook by 5 years. I mean, and I think that's the only reason it's still going, because so many of you people develop relationships and friends and trust on that thing. In that 5 year run, that when Facebook came out, everybody's like, "Oh my God, you're going to be dead in an hour." And here it is, here it is, 2020, and the only reason it's still going because there's so many friends and relationships that have been on there for years. And I was going to ask you the name Faith Family Dental. I mean, I know the answer, but that's just an amazing name, Faith Family Dental. How do you like that name now?
I like it. I still do because, I get that question a lot from my patient. What, the faith, where's the faith coming from? So the faith is pretty much my journey, pretty much everything that I went through since I stepped foot into this country, into the U.S. So that's where my faith came from. So, and then for me to open a practice, it's an 8-month-old baby. I have to have faith to do it. So that's why Faith Family Dental.
And my gosh, I don't know how to. I don't even know who I'm interviewing today, because over the years I look at the emails you sent me, and the first one you were Dr. A. Period. The second one you were Dr. Amy, AMI, and the third one you were Dr. Amy Kekeli Agbabli. But I did post one of your favorite quotes. You wrote, "Optimism is the faith that leads to achievement. Nothing can be done without hope and confidence." Helen Adams Keller, 1880-1968, first deaf blind person to earn a Bachelor's of Arts degree. What did that first deaf blind person to earn a Bachelor of Arts degree, what is she saying to you when she says optimism is the faith that leads to achievement? Nothing can be done without hope and confidence.
Well, that really speaks to me because I just feel like nothing can ever stop you. I just feel like, it doesn't really matter your background. It doesn't matter where you come from, as long as you have faith and you've been optimistic, nothing is impossible. So I love that quote so very much because, I can kind of relate a little bit because you pretty much don't let your situation define you. Don't let don't let anything define you because you can pretty much do anything, so like nothing is impossible, pretty much, that's what I get from that quote.
Well, I'll tell you what, it's people like you who give me so much faith in humanity, because it's so easy to get out your little violin and whine about everything that went wrong in my high school years, starting with all my hair fell out. And it's like, hey, you didn't get picked up in Kansas and thrown in another country and didn't know a damn word they say. I mean, I listen to these immigrant stories to the United States, and I have so much love and respect and admiration for what you've accomplished, and it makes me realize how little I've accomplished. And if you ever have a best friend who moved his daughter during high school, I mean, my gosh, that was the most miserable thing they ever did. And so I admire your faith, I admire your strength, your courage, your wisdom, and Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, and Amy, thank you so much for coming on the show today. I've been a big fan of your post for years, and I hope you have an amazing, I don't want to say have a Happy New Year, because what year couldn't be better than 2020? I think everybody's going to have a happy 2021. I mean, unless you're ran over by a cement truck. But Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, and obviously 2021 is going to be better than 2020. Thank you so much for coming on the show.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me, and Merry Christmas to you and Happy New Year. Stay safe.